Welcome to B2B Marketing Methods. I'm your host, Terri Hoffman, and I'm the CEO of Marketing Refresh. Let's face it, embracing digital marketing is daunting. This podcast was created to make it more approachable. Join me as we talk to CEOs, sales leaders, and revenue growth experts who will share lessons learned and tips from their own journeys. And so on the topic of measurement,
that's what I was going to say.
Let's talk about that one.
That's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Right? What's the ROI of this?
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing out the gate on this is a long-term strategy.
Mm-hmm.
This is not you come and you apply this and you do this for 3 to 6 months and now you're closing deals up the wazoo. That's not how this works. Much like, SEO strategy, they are long-term plays. You're looking at least 12 to 24 months of doing this consistently before you start feeling like you're getting some of those big business development results that you want to see. So I like to tell people when it comes down to the first kind of inklings of ROI, you start to see, so our tagline is become the authority, which is you're already the best at what you do in your industry. You're just too quiet about it. Right? You're not out here talking about what you do, how you do it, the results that your customers are getting, and everyone in their industry should be doing that. What happens is 3 to 6 months always happens. Someone's been running a podcast consistently, and all of a sudden, everyone in their ecosystem knows. And they're like, how do they know? What did I change? What am I doing differently? Because my podcast is only showing 25 listens, but somehow everybody knows that I'm doing this. And it's because passively people are watching. Mm-hmm. And that's very hard to attribute sometimes. Chris Walker called it dark social, and I still largely agree with that, is that you're putting these things out and people notice. So 3 to 6 months, people start saying, hey, I saw your content, I saw your podcast. And you're like, well, that's funny because you didn't like or comment or do anything. Right. And the reality is people are passively watching what you're doing, and it matters. Yep. It matters in your sales process. So that's initially on the ROI, you're getting some of those soft kind of, then it's, hey, you're a great speaker. I saw you on your podcast. Would you come present? Would you come present to this room or that room? Or people start to get speaking opportunities. Yeah. And all of a sudden they're pushed to the front runner of their industry specific conference. And they're like, how did I get here? It's because you showed that you could do that. Yeah. So that in what is the value in getting in front of a room of 100 to 300 very concentrated people in your industry? I mean, it takes time to see that all the way through. And then obviously, there are metrics and on the data sides of socials and things like that you track. Should those things be trending up, all of them? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's building your brand equity. And yes, that brand awareness. We're really big believers in data. Data tells us what we're doing well and what we're not doing well or what we can improve. And so on the content side, where it's not just about putting out this many clips, it's what's your engagement percentage, what's your average viewer duration. Those data points tell us when we're gathering share of voice and therefore hopefully share of market. Yeah. So those things should correlate over time, right? Yeah. And the last thing is that it sometimes goes unnoticed. I do think it is also an internal culture builder and attraction mechanism for your brand. Mm-hmm. People would be very surprised how many people that they're trying to hire as they're recruiting and talent that also go do their research on the brand and figure out, is this a company I want to spend time with? Mm-hmm. There's been so many customers of ours that people have come to their company either by way of their podcast or through hearing or seeing something, and they mention it.
That's really funny. I was thinking about that when you were talking about the ways that you can impact and how you can measure if it's successful or not. I was thinking it's just a great way to show if you are planning on joining a leadership team or you're planning on looking for a job out in the facility, any role. You get to learn more about that company's culture, how leadership operates, how the people in their whole business network think and operate. That should show some quality. I think companies who invest in a podcast, and I'm going to use the word invest because I think it's people who are trying to invest in their brand and something bigger, people who view it as a transaction, or whether they're looking at the investment in a podcast as a transaction or looking to get transactions out of it. I don't know that really makes for the best client for us when it comes to marketing. You have to look at it as, yes, you might initially just be getting awareness out of it and building your brand, But until you've done that, you don't have enough visibility when people are out looking and doing their research to then have it turn into a sales conversation or give your salespeople a chance to get through the door. I think one of the most interesting stories that one of our clients has told us about starting a podcast is, I was going to the same conferences and trade shows for years. People would walk up to the booth. They would look up at our sign and say, "Oh, XYZ company, tell me what you do." 1 year after the podcast launched, they would walk up and look, "Oh, I've been looking for you. I know who you are. I've been seeking you out," right? How do you measure that?
Yeah.
How do you measure that type of recognition?
It's really difficult. And I'm not going to lie, any marketing company who says they have attribution figured all the way out, red flag,
No.
red flag.
No.
It's
Yep.
so hard. And just as, more platforms creates more surface area to try to do that. So within the process, it's like, asking salespeople, how did they hear about us? Asking your customers, how did they hear about you? Embedding all those places where people could say, yes, I found you on ChatGPT, or I found you on LinkedIn, or, I've seen those already from my own show. It happened to me. I was in a room and someone walked up and they said, my CMO sent me over here and said, I have to meet you. I need to talk. Their CMO was like, hey, you got one mission today. Go find this person. Oh. And how did they know about us? Content on LinkedIn. It's the only way. It's the only thing that this person interacted with. And then when I had a chance to meet the CMO, I asked and she verified that for me. But it's verifying it and actually documenting that as a sales and marketing team, like what's working, right? But I've gotten a lot of pushback even on the conference side of it. It's like, oh, we invest heavily into conferences. And I'm like, yeah, conferences are where people gather. And I think you should do both. So for us, we've gone on site, filmed conferences on site. And like what people don't realize is the best of the best are already there at the conference. So running an outbound booking strategy against the speakers and the thought leaders that are there, man, you can get some really great people just because they're already in conference mode. They're there to do business. They're there to network. And so attaching this strategy to what's already working well for you, it just 10Xs, it just amplifies it. But to your point, it's the age-old question in B2B. Where did the sale come from and how can we perfectly measure it to that? And I really just try to ask people to step back and like run experiments and let's just use our problem solving and say, what 3 things did we change this year? Was a podcast one of those? And is your revenue up? Then it probably has a lot to do with that.
The other thing I think is your salespeople will tell you.
100%.
Your salespeople will tell you. Are you hearing people commenting on it? Are you finding that to be a tool that helps open the doors? Your HR department will tell you. We're getting great people in the market coming to us looking for something instead of me having to go out and actively try to find the next pool of candidates. Those candidates are approaching us. And I think it can be somewhat anecdotal. I would really encourage leaders of those brands to be okay with that. Mm-hmm. It's okay if the feedback is anecdotal and that you're seeing the trends in the data going the right way. But in reality, most B2B companies don't need numbers. And you were talking about that earlier. It's like if it just resulted in 5 new sales this year or made 10 deals you were working on take a shorter period of time, or it got you that one great hire that you had just really struggled to find the right fit for, like, aren't those little anecdotal examples enough to help you invest in your brand?
Yeah, what's the lifetime value of that?
Right, exactly. Thank you for listening to B2B Marketing Methods. Please be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast channel and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you and connect. You can find me on LinkedIn or visit our company website at marketingrefresh.com.